Cyber Innovations in the Private Sector highlights case studies and the latest industry trends from private vendors. Explore innovative solutions, success stories, and exclusive insights from industry leaders. Stay ahead with the cutting-edge developments driving the industry forward.
Today on CyberSecTV, we speak with Ángel Moreno Rubio, Digital Policy Manager at TIC Council, about how EU regulation of AI and cybersecurity can keep pace with innovation.
Hello everyone, my name is Ángel Moreno Rubio. I'm Digital Policy Manager at TIC Council. TIC Council is the global trade association representing the testing, inspection and certification sector. This is where the acronym TIC comes from. When it comes to emerging technologies, AI, cybersecurity, our members play a key role in ensuring manufacturers, industry can comply in an efficient and smart way with frameworks like the AI Act, the Cyber Resilience Act, NIS2 Directive, etc. But also from a voluntary perspective, through certification, we can help manufacturers and companies demonstrate to its stakeholders, providers, clients, society at large that they adhere to the highest cybersecurity or AI requirements to ensure that their processes or products are safe for everyone to be used. How do policymakers can keep pace with regulation while innovation goes so fast? It's $1 million question, I would say, but it's very important for policymakers, and we're thinking in the EU bubble, the Commission, Parliament, the Council representing member states. Very, very importantly, especially for the TIC sector, the testing, inspection, certification sector that I represent, but also many other stakeholders that are part of these quality assurance ecosystems, is to make sure that after the legislation, we have in place the necessary means to implement it. This relates to standards, which are essentially voluntarily tools that translate the legislative requirements into actionable testing methodologies and benchmarkings, while also ensuring the member states appoint the competent authorities that will play a key role in market surveillance, notified bodies. So all these different support mechanisms must be in place after legislation is passed. And we need to tell to policymakers to have this level of flexibility, right? To be able to review when legislation is working, is not working, to receive feedback from stakeholders like TIC Council and others here in the EU bubble, to make sure that the regulatory goals and objectives embedded in the AI Act, in the Cyber Resilience Act, in any other framework are fit for purpose, and when needed, revise them so that we can keep up with innovation. Well, the AI Act, it's the first horizontal regulatory framework worldwide. So it's the first attempt in the world to regulate artificial intelligence. Just maybe a point here, regulating AI, regulating anything in the digital world is way different from regulating, let's say, something that is physical and material, because it's constantly changing. AI even more, it's constantly being trained, updated. So it is very difficult. So the EU took a bold step in regulating AI with a very clear goal. And I think we always need to remember what's the goal of the AI Act is to preserve the safety and health and fundamental rights of EU citizens. So when it comes to challenges to achieve a successful implementation of the AI Act, I think the first one that comes to my mind is operational readiness. And I said this in the first question. There are a different tasks or homework that different member states, that the Commission and other institutions had to do once the AI Act was passed in the summer of 2024. But they have not been successfully done or addressed. One of them, for example, relates to the development of standards. This is quite a hot topic currently. AI standards are also, by the nature of AI, quite difficult to develop. They are not. This is the first time we're doing such an exercise, so it requires more time. But also, for example, a very important point is that member states, already the deadline was August 2025, should have appointed by then what we know as competent authorities. These competent authorities are public bodies appointed by member states, governments, and there are mainly two types. The market surveillance authorities, that are the public organisms that will take care to police the market, to make sure that AI systems indeed are compliant with the requirements of the AI Act, but then also notifying authorities, which are very, very important for TIC Council members, for conformity assessment bodies, because these public organizations and notifying authorities, together with the national accreditation bodies, will be in charge of verifying the technical competence, the impartiality, the independence of conformity assessment bodies, so TIC Council members who will then become notified bodies. But without the appointment of these organizations by member states, we cannot pursue notification, and there are some bottlenecks when it comes to this. So operational readiness is key. Also, the delivery of guidance that was stipulated in the AI Act is also very, very important, that the AI office, together with stakeholders, develops this guidance on interpretation, which is very, very much needed by conformity assessment bodies, by manufacturers, by civil society, to better understand how the AI Act is applicable in practice. However, I must say that at the moment, as you might know, currently the Commission already in November last year published the AI Omnibus. That is a new piece of legislation that is basically amending the AI Act, which only entered into force barely 2 years ago. So currently negotiations in the European Parliament and the Council finalized. Each of the co-legislators have decided their own internal positions and now started what we call trilogues, interinstitutional negotiations between the co-legislators, the Parliament and the Council of the EU, and also in the table the Commission is welcome to join. Why is it very important? Because the AI Omnibus, it was meant to simplify the AI Act, to make sure these support mechanisms that were missing, standards, competent authorities, were put in place as soon as possible to make the AI Act operational. However, there are certain amendments that have been proposed by the European Parliament, in this case, changing Annex 1 of the AI Act. I know it can get a bit technical, but the changes into this annex of the AI Act are quite important and will have a negative impact and go against the very simplification goal of the AI Act, because it would lead to further complexification. And just let me trying to be very, very short on what are these consequences of changing an annex into the AI Act. Basically, before I told you that one of the strengths of the AI Act is its horizontal framework, one regulation to apply to different sectors and verticals to ensure a minimum level of requirements and harmonization. With these changes proposed by the European Parliament, a section in Annex 1 of the AI Act will be removed to another section, which would then lead to a wave of secondary legislation that would be required to translate, to implement specific AI requirements into at least 12 new legislative-based frameworks. This includes medical device, machinery, toys, radio equipment. So basically, instead of regulating AI in a horizontal way, that is really the basis of the AI Act, we would instead moving towards a more vertical sectorial way of legislating AI. And what this means in practice is that the Commission would need to now start working on tens of dozens of secondary legislation to implement, again, what I said before, specific AI requirements into each of these specific sectoral laws. So leading to further complexification of the system, instead of having one AI Act where all different manufacturers across sectors can comply with and make sure that their products are safe for the people. That's really the goal of the AI Act. Well, in order to deliver trust, you need a strong quality infrastructure ecosystem, because trust needs evidence. It's a job done by different actors that I will touch in a moment. And this is why together, TIC Council, together with UCAS, back in September 2024, we decided to launch AIQI Consortium, the AI Quality Infrastructure Consortium, that basically brings together stakeholders in this ecosystem to advance our role, make sure policymakers understand our views. So what is quality infrastructure? Is this ecosystem made of a standard development organization, those professionals, technical experts that develop the standards. Again, standards are voluntarily to demonstrate compliance, but standards can be also used in a voluntarily basis to demonstrate that you adhere to the highest standards on cybersecurity, on whatever thing you want to prove to your stakeholders. But then also you have metrology institutions that are the ones in charge. They are the more scientific ones, if you want to see it this way, that define the measurements, metrics, benchmarkings. They're really the scientific cornerstone of the whole quality infrastructure ecosystems. Then you have testing, inspection, and certification companies represented by TIC Council. They're also known as conformity assessment bodies, as notified bodies under EU legislation. Our members, what they do is they check, they verify that in fact a given manufacturer company complies with a standard, with the requirements in a standard, in a legislation. We make sure that we can build trust in products, in safety, in systems, and in anything else that you can imagine. And then we also, another key pillar of this quality infrastructure ecosystem are accreditation bodies. These public institutions usually are the verifiers of the verifiers. They verify that conformity assessment bodies, so TIC Council members, indeed have the technical competence, impartiality, independence, to be able to provide conformity assessment services. Well, international collaboration when governing AI or any kind of technology in general is key. Now, we always say that technology, they know no borders. So the software in general, they can spread out, they are everywhere. So cooperation at international level is key. This is one of the reasons why, for example, we established the AIQI Consortium, which is international in nature, and we bring partners from literally all the continents and the different quality infrastructure organizations. And just to give a very concrete example, I think, especially when it comes to standards, the way in which we define how certain requirements are met, this is very important. This is why when a standard is delivered and produced by ISO, the International Standardization Organization, is quite powerful because standardization, for those that do not know, is consensus-based, industries engaged, civil society also is engaged in standardization. So when an international standard is developed, this is a very strong signal to the market, because at the end, either if you are, let's say, any big company, you're operating globally. So if you have a standard that is made by ISO, by another international fora, it will simplify your life in many instances. And this is, for example, the case of ISO ISE 40001, that is the management system for AI. This is a clear example of when we find common grounds, especially on a technical level, collaboration is key. But I'm focusing now on standards, but this can also apply to safety. I know there are many AI safety related organizations trying to make sure that we have similar understanding of what are the boundaries, the limits of AI as it is now developed at the current pace of innovation. So on safety, it's also very, very important that we communicate across partners, that we try to find agreements, at least at the technical level. I understand that at the political level, these conversations might be more tricky, but I'm sure that at technical level, in standards, in safety, in conformity assessment, we can make a lot of progress and advance there, because it's really very much needed to make sure we fully harness the potential of AI, all its benefits, while trying to minimize its risk. Zero risk doesn't exist, but together we can try to minimize this to close to zero. Well, I hope from my point of view that the negotiations of the AI Omnibus will maintain the current horizontal structure of the AI Act. Again, this horizontal structure, it guarantees that there are a same level of requirements and harmonization across different sectors. And this is good for EU citizens, for businesses. It gives also legal certainty to have the AI Act as it is now, because imagine if at the end both the co-legislators decide to do this change into the Annex 1, it would mean a new wave of secondary legislation, public consultations. The whole standardization efforts that are currently underway need to be completely reoriented to now be focused more on the vertical nature of each legislation. So I really hope co-legislators can find a compromise that respects that one of the key elements of the AI Act, that is its horizontal nature, while, of course, at the same time simplifying the AI Act and making sure that these support mechanisms that are lagging, being standards, being the designation of competent authorities, technical guidance from the Commission, are in place as soon as possible so that together we can build a trustworthy AI market in Europe and hopefully also beyond, by acting as an example to other jurisdictions.